Hello, good evening. I am Vladimir Holmes. I will be speaking to you today about the privatization of prisons and how they affect the American justice system. I want you to imagine a husband getting a felony for reading his wife's email, or a mother getting a felony for spanking her child, or even a child getting a felony for letting a friend use an inhaler who was having an asthma attack. Unfortunately, this is not a nightmare. This is New Millennium America. This is the result of the need to fill jails simply to build revenue for for-profit prisons. For-profit prisons threaten the integrity of the American justice system. By me being a law student and plans of becoming an attorney, I found that our dear Constitution, that was founded on liberty and justice, is being diminished from a way of life down to no less than desolate words. I will define for-profit prisons, their effects on the American justice system, and our future for the justice system. A for-profit prison is a private prison or jail or detention center that houses individuals under physical confinement by a third party that is contracted by a local, state, or federal government agency. These companies usually get into a contractual agreement with the government and charge them a fee, usually from $30 to $60 per bed per day. Private prisons and privatization of prisons don't only refer to the actual building, but also the operation of public facilities as well. Previously owned public facilities. Usually when you want to build a prison, you would have to get a vote through a bond issue. And it would call the state to have the locals come out and vote. Well, during the 1980s, voters started to say no. When they started to say no in 1984, investors and some Tennessee legislators got together and formed Correction Corporation of America. They used venture capital. They used investors to come in and build prisons and, like a hotel, lease the beds to the state. The three largest corrections corporations are Correction Corporation of America, Wackenhut Corrections Corporation, and Cornell Inc. They're all being traded on the New York Stock Exchange. In fact, the CEO and president of Corrections Corporation of America, also known as CCA, Damon T. Henninger, earned over $3.2 million last year in compensation. CCA has 60 facilities and more than 85,000 beds. They are the fourth largest correction system, only second to the federal government in 3 states. Is it now clear to see how that our public justice system is moving towards capitalism and private prisons? Private prisons equal a negative effect on the American justice system. In order for you to build revenue for shareholders, you have to incarcerate more people. In 1972, we had 300,000 inmates total. And in 1990, that number jumped to 1 million. In 2000, that number jumped to 2 million. Here I have a chart that shows the incline over the years. And you can see, as far as private prisons go, during 1987, it was low. And as we moved up to the new millennium, we almost at a peak during 99. "13 years ago, we only had 5 private prisons, and today there are over 100. According to a news report in Phoenix, CCA donated money directly to a campaign of Arizona Governor Jan Brewer. Paul Sensman, the governor's deputy chief of staff, is a former lobbyist for CCA, and his wife is a current lobbyist for the company. As well, Chuck Coffin, one of Arizona governor's policy advisors and campaign chairman, owns the company that currently lobbies for CCA. It is no wonder why the company receives $11 million a month from the state of Arizona. Arizona's controversial SB 1070 became law in July 29, 2010. The SB 1070 will result in the increase of inmates, most of them being illegal immigrants. These immigrants will probably get rounded up and shuttled to 6 CCA facilities that's in Arizona. According to CCA's own records, 32% of their revenue comes from incarceration of illegal immigrants. The passing of the 3 strikes law alone allowed the construction of 20 prisons. Private contracting of prisoners for work by private companies is just an incentive to issue harsher sentences. 37 states have legalized the contracting of prison labor by private corporations. Companies who have benefited from this 25 cents an hour wager from prisoners are IBM, Boeing, Motorola, Microsoft, AT&T Wireless, Texas Instrument, Dell, Compaq, Hewlett-Packard, Intel, Nordstrom's, Revlon, Macy's, Target stores, and that's just to name a few. That brings me to the question, why does a dog wag its tail? Well, because the tail can't wag the dog. Only in our situation, the tail is wagging the dog because the 10% is controlling the masses. Best justice system in the world, if not the best. It's one of the best, and it is leading and is headed towards the dump. If we don't put our prison system back in the public sector, it will become a monopolized racket to make money. On August 28, 1963, there was a doctor from Atlanta, Georgia, who traveled to Washington, D.C. to tell 200,000 people about a dream he had. 48 years later, I stand in Atlanta, Georgia, his hometown, and have witnessed inhumane acts that had evoked nightmares. I have a nightmare that men, women, and children will cringe at the sight of officers who we pay through tax dollars because they fear they will be charged erroneously in order to carry out an agenda of a compromised legislature. I have a nightmare that American citizens will be hauled down to local precincts to serve jail time for petty traffic violations due to some mandatory sentence the legislators wrote who own stocks in the jail. I have a nightmare that it will be common for the average American to have served jail time, just as common as it is for the average American today to have visited Disney World. In reality, I see the likes of my nightmare coming true, but it can be stopped. Fairline Capital Management, a hedge fund that invests a portion of Yale's endowment, recently sold 2/3 of their stocks, totaling $1.5 million, because of rallies and protests of human rights abuse and lobbying for harsh sentences. Boycotting can work. It's the only thing left for us to do. Our Constitution was built on sound morals. Our justice system is to rehabilitate those who have been failed by society or who has failed society. It is not a means to make money, and it is not a means to bring back slavery. The only possible change that can come out of mixing capitalism with justice is corruption. Our justice system is pure, like water, and capitalism is slick, like oil. Although they both can be used to our advantage, they cannot be mixed. Thank you.
Good speech. Good job. Great.